you're working on.
Yeah,
Hello,
so
I'm here.
we are working with
Hello.
Boy George on the Crypto Queenz project. He's up.
I'm here, I think.
You are.
Awesome. Can you hear us?
Hello, people.
Hello, Boy George. Can you
So
hear us?
yeah, awesome.
I can hear you, yeah.
Awesome. So exciting to have you pop in. And yeah, this is great. Do you want to tell us what you're working on?
We're working on a collection of art pieces that are celebrating LGBTQI plus kind of culture, otherness. You know, I guess I've done a lifetime of otherness, so it's a celebration of that. But also, you know, I make art anyway. I've been making art for a long time, and you know, for me, sort of this digital side of things is just another very exciting way of expressing your ideas. You know, and I feel like everybody's got so many strong opinions about NFTs. It's kind of, it makes me more excited the more horrified people seem to be by it. You know, so I
Definitely.
just think it's an exciting. I always like to be in the sort of stink of things, you know, when things are kicking off, when things are creatively interesting, and that's a good way for any artist not to stay stagnant, you know, whatever it may be. And the thing that really drives what I do is ideas. That's what gets me up every day. What am I going to do next? How am I going to express my ideas about who I am and about the world? And you know, all of this kind of bleeds into what I do musically as well. You know, everything that I do, from sort of making clothes of my art on to making NFTs, you know, it's all about this kind of ferocious kind of need to, you know, create things.
That's so cool. I had no idea that you also made visual art. I'm also a visual artist and musician, so I love when I find people that are the same way. It's like really everything. I feel like you probably see everything as a potential project that you could work on, and that you're in the space this early is awesome, because I think a lot of people are afraid to get in, and they're just seeing like, oh, it's bad for the environment, or it's digital beanie babies and it's not going to last. But if you're a pioneer, you're going to do awesome things. And I think this is just your first thing. So I'm excited to hear more about it. So what is the collection, and did you make all the art for it?
I did make all the art for it. And basically, it's based around this one particular kind of character that I created called Scarman, which is, you know, I suppose in a way, if I was going to be egotistical, it's kind of me without all my finery, you know, because obviously being someone that dresses up and expresses themselves through, you know, makeup and clothes, you know, people often kind of judge you on how you appear, or if you're not looking like that, you know, because to a certain extent, I think of Boy George, particularly 80s Boy George, as a kind of cartoon character. So, you know, it makes it kind of ripe for, you know, kind of, you know, drawing and playing around with those ideas. Because for me, Boy George of 1984 is like a cartoon now, you know, and that's how I suppose I use it to sort of harness my own legacy in a way, rather than sort of, because you know, when you've been successful for a long time, people tend to hold you in one area. You know, oh, we know what you are, you know, and as you just said, you're a musician, so you understand that, you know, that battle to kind of be seen as who you are at the moment rather than what people think you are. But it's also fun to play around with all that stuff, to kind of have massive respect for what you've created in the past. And, you know, sometimes it takes years to realize the impact that you've had by just doing what you want to do. You know, people talk a lot now about self-expression, you know, about people's right to be and say what they want to, you know, who they want to be in the world. And I feel like what we did, you know, in the beginning in the 80s was really the beginning of that. I mean, there were people before us, David Bowie, Oscar Wilde, you know, there's a long list. But, you know, it's like I look at it as a kind of daisy chain of creativity that people pass on, you know, ideas. And, you know, there's certain artists that you fall in love with, certain musicians, you know, certain fashion designers. That's always been the way for me. So for me, it's a continuation of the work I started in 1982. I know this is a really long answer, sorry.
I love it. No,
But, you
I
know,
think it's
what I started
awesome to
doing in
hear.
1982 was, you know, just having left school and everything, and, you know, wanting to be in a band and the way I dressed, and all my heroes were very colorful, kind of amazing characters like Bowie and Mark Bolan and, people like that. So, for me, I just felt like those people really spoke to me, and I wanted to kind of carry that message, carry on that message. And, to my surprise and joy, there's still a lot of work to be done. I should say surprise and horror, but, in a way, there's still work to be done in the world, and that can be done so powerfully through art and through music.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like you've been doing this work for so long, and I think it is catching on more, where it's awesome to see people being more accepting of people just being themselves and who they really are. And my like former music mate like is now, a they, and exploring that and dressing femme, and it's cool to see. It's like I think a lot of people are feeling more comfortable doing that now, and there's more support for it, and it's more in the media, and it's more in TV and culture, and now it's not like people have to be as afraid.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of interested from the sort of this digital sort of aspect of, what can be done with music. I read the other day that Death Row Records is going to become a fully NFT record label, which I think is brilliant. I think it's really, because I think all artists are looking for new ways to kind of, get music to people and to kind of share those ideas more wildly, and also change some of the rules about how that happens. Because in the art world, historically, ordinary people were kind of pushed out. You're not highbrow enough to get this. And one of the great things about modern art and digital art is that it's made it more accessible and changed the relationship with the audience. And I think that's always very exciting.
Yeah, I like too that when you were talking about your project and you're like, this is kind of Boy George in the 80s, and there's like a story behind it. So maybe you could go into like more of the story behind the project. And
Well,
is
I
there
think
is there
just this idea that one of the things that any artist, particularly musicians, want to do is transcend people's ideas of what they are. A lot of the time, although I've made tons and tons of music since 1984, and obviously I still tour with Culture Club, so I'm not alien to my past. I still play with those guys, but I've done a lot of stuff. I've been involved in the dance world. I was the DJ for many, many years, and in fact, I started as the DJ in the '70s. And so I went back into kind of rave culture when that happened. And I remember at the time everyone saying, "Why are you doing that? It's going to last 2 minutes," and it became one of the biggest things, in the world. I mean, I recently did an NFT of Steve Aoki, and you see with someone like Steve how big dance music has become from what it was when I first encountered what we called acid house. So really, I feel like I'm just telling stories about all of those things, and showing people that they're just as relevant now as they were then. They change, obviously, because people want different things from pop culture, but I feel like, all the things that have stimulated me since I was a kid, the fashion designers, the great musicians, and some of them are obvious and some of them are more obscure. But those things still resonate with me. And, as a kid, those things made my world seem less grey. When I was a little kid living in suburbia, wondering why I was there. Who dropped me here? I should be somewhere else. And I think just, realizing that there's so many other people out there who can relate to that experience. And, even in sort of, even in the world of otherness, even in the LGBTQI plus world, there are still people who feel outside of that. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes these communities or these labels or whatever we give ourselves don't necessarily tell everyone everything about us. We are
definitely.
multifaceted, and I think that's my message, that actually it's never as simple as you think it is. And it's just really nice to kind of learn new things about things you thought you understood. So that's really what I do when I'm writing songs, when I'm making a piece of art. I want to make people laugh. I think there's lots of great humorous NFTs, and I think one of the great things about some of them is that they do make you laugh, and they're kind of, they're sort of like they're poking fun at you, and I think that's quite cute.
So funny thing that I got to mention is that I was raised by clowns. So when I was really little, I was putting on makeup and dressing up and in that kind of entertainment lifestyle of like you create a character for yourself when you dress up and you put on makeup. And I think it's
Yeah.
cool that you did that on your own. Like, did you have somebody that inspired you to get into it?
Oh yeah, I mean all the obvious ones: David Bowie, Klaus Nomi, Oscar Wilde, as well. Just in terms of being sort of, you know, not a regular guy, if you like. I think when you're at school, I think from about the age of 6, I was made aware that I wasn't like other boys, and you either kind of fold into yourself as a person or you get more flamboyant and you sort of, what I say, adopt the sort of the uniform of the outsider. And I think that, I've always been comfortable in, I wouldn't call it a uniform because it changes, but that's just a way of explaining it. Some people don't want to stand out, some people want to fit in, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But I feel like, when I was a kid, London was a very different place. The world was a very different place. And when I got famous, the press was very homophobic, openly homophobic. I mean, there wasn't even any attempt not to be. And I just, I marvel at the fact that, people can't get away with that now. And I think that's a really important message. And tolerance it's a massive word.
Even
Yeah,
in the Crypto Queenz community in Discord, people that are coming in there from the NFT side, they're discovering Boy George and the project for the first time. Like the atmosphere in there is crazy. Like people are behind it. People are like, "Oh my god!" Like I get this. Like they see the memes, they see the pictures. Like, "Oh my god, who is this guy? Like, what is going on here?" But they immediately connect with it. And there's nothing. There's no hate speech. There's no one's kind of negative about anything. And like it's just rallying the troops. Like people are so behind it.
Yeah, I did see some.
Well,
I did see some funny comments because Adam Lambert, who's my friend, he posted a little thing about the NFTs, and there was some comments saying, "Thank you for destroying civilization." I was like, I'm not sure if I'm doing that on my own, but yeah, no, I think generally the vibe is look at these avatars. They're so colourful. You look at all these faces and those pictures, and you can't help but feel positive because it's just it's fabulous.
John, do you want to go into like what the project is, like what's the name of it and where people can find it?
yeah, so it's at the Crypto Queenz. You can find it on Twitter, Instagram, the Discord link. I'll tweet it up as well from the anonymous group in a second, so you can follow across. It's obviously all in Boy George's profile as well, but it's an amazing community, and I really highly recommend you check it out, just for a place to sit and laugh, if anything, and get with these people. It's great.
That's awesome. Boy George, do you want to tell us, so there's the art, and then is there a utility? Is it also attached to your music?
Well, I'm looking at maybe, what I wanted to do was kind of hide some music in the NFTs, that people would just discover by accident. I'm not sure if we have to pull that off, but I like the idea of, because this year I've been working on a project to release 60 songs for my 60th, which was last June, and I've now in the process of releasing stuff. I've released 7 tracks in the last 2 weeks, and I'm sort of doing it without ceremony. I'm just kind of putting them out, in the spirit of when I was like a kid. I often heard some of my favorite records in my friend's bedroom. It wasn't that I heard them on the radio. I was directed to them by the media. Friends of mine say, if you heard this band, you heard this song. And so I'm doing it in that spirit. And I would like to find a way of doing that with the music, because, music, well, both art and music are things that I do every day. It's a constant thing, and often they are related. Some of the pictures that I do are, I'll get a song from a picture, or I'll attach a song to a picture because it feels like it expresses what I'm trying to say in the lyrics.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think with this technology, it's like you can do stuff later. It's not like you have to have it all figured out exactly right away. It's like you're able to tell stories. You can airdrop things right to people's wallets, and they'll just show up, and people will wake up and like, oh, I have a song, or I have an extra NFT, or whatever it is. You can do so many things with the
And
technology.
hopefully they
So
won't be offended, they get something for free, because sometimes people are a bit like, what?
There's
yeah,
even
like
there's
what
even
was
like
that?
there's even the show like in Decentraland in the Vegas City. like next on Saturday, right? So like we're taking the digital Boy George into Decentraland, performing a concert. Like that's what we can do now. That's exciting.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
still don't know what I'm going to sing, but it's going to be good. And I'm doing it live from our recording studio, and I think there's going to be this gorgeous avatar, which I love. Made me laugh so much. I think I'd like to be an avatar all the time.
So in Decentraland, are you gonna have like a custom character, or how's it gonna
I have a
how's it gonna
custom
look?
character. I have a custom character. I've seen him, and he's
Awesome.
cool. He's got a rainbow suit on. He's pretty cool. He's not as pretty as me, but he does me proud.
That's great. Have you done a virtual concert before?
Not this style, no. I will be there I will be seen as well, but yeah, I'll be interacting with my avatar. But no, I've never done this before, and I think it's exciting, because you know you can really reach a lot more people as well like this.
Yeah, and you can just do it like at home, like in your underwear while you're drinking a coffee.
Maybe I'll do that. That'll be my look for Saturday.
So have you been in Decentraland or any of these metaverses just to check them out yet?
This is going to be my first. This is going to be my voyage, my first voyage into this world, and I'm really excited about it because I know that this particular place is one of the hot places, and they've built me a great spot to perform in, which I'm very excited about. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what it is, but
John, can you leak some stuff?
I mean, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes.
well, as far as I know, they've built me like the Flamingo Bar in Vegas, so I get to do my Vegas residency just before Adele.
That's awesome. My last big concert was doing all the visuals for Mariah Carey's residency in Vegas, and it was like
Amazing.
right before the lockdown happened, and so we did all the work, and then I was going to Vegas to see it, and just out of a movie, like we're leaving LA. My girlfriend's like, "Oh, let's stop at the post office before we go." I'm like, "The post office is not a quick stop. This is going to be taking a long time." So we're late, and then I'm speeding through the desert or whatever, and then I'm getting all sweaty. So I was like, I take off my shirt and I roll down the window, and I have the shirt hanging out the window. And then I was like, okay, bring the shirt back in. She rolled down the window, the shirt flies out of the car onto the freeway, and I'm like, shit, now I have no shirt for the concert. So we had to like stop at a Target and like get a shirt just so I could get there. Then we get there, and all the stuff, all the work that I did was already over. And there was like the last part of the show, missed all the stuff I did, had to go back the next week. It was a mission, and then yeah, everything shut down, and it was crazy to see. So like, I feel like you getting into the metaverse, it's like we don't know if things will shut down. It seems like they constantly change the rules and everything. So being able to like put on a show and interact with fans when it's harder to do that right now seems like a cool experience for people to get involved with.
Yeah, and this would have been a fun thing to. Well, listen, it's always a fun thing to do because, as I say, it cuts out people having to travel to places and book hotels, and then things get cancelled, which does happen a lot, and people get really, let down. So, I think I'm going to try and do something really different on Saturday, something that people won't expect. Hit them with some fun things.
I'm excited. Yeah, I definitely will be there now that I know about it, and I hope everybody. Is there a link that they can follow for the concert? Do they have to have the NFT to go as well?
Not sure about that. I think that's is that who's dealing with that stuff? Is that you, James?
I don't think James can talk in this, but no, I think you just head over to Vegas City on Decentraland on Saturday the 26th of February, 8 p.m.
Yeah,
and there'll be a link to get over there.
yeah, I think it'd be fun.
The more the
Gonna
merrier.
drop
How
some
long's
nice reggae stuff. Have some fun.
Oh, nice. How long's the concert going to be?
Well, if it's going well, I'll just carry on till, and
So
then
they
I'll
turn the
drop to the
lights
floor
off.
like James Brown.
That's awesome. That's exciting. That's like something that is harder to do in person when there's like a venue and they're like, all right, we got to wrap it up and get everybody out of here. And yeah, so being able to just do it
Yeah, we all know
at your
about those
house.
union fines when you go over on stage.
Yeah. So So that's cool. They designed you a custom stage. You got a
Yeah,
custom avatar. You're gonna be able to play whatever you want. So
yeah.
yeah, you said you're gonna play some reggae. You also
Yeah, I got a
mentioned
few
like
new things, some old stuff. I'm not sure about. I'm not sure if I think I'm allowed to do covers. We'll see. I'll just do it anyway, and then we'll see after.
ask for forgiveness later. Yeah, that's the way to go.
Exactly.
So with the art, like I'm looking at your profile picture, and I see it's a. Did you do it like on an iPad, or what's the technology
No,
you used?
I do all my actual physical drawing on paper by hand, and then I photograph it, then I digitize it, and then it goes into sort of what I call digital surgery. So it ends up, going through, the coloring process, and then sometimes I move things around, because that's the great thing about digital work. You suddenly go, that side of the nose is better than that side. So yeah, I kind of do like, surgery on the faces, and with digital stuff, you can go back and say, you know what, I don't think I did a great mouth, and so you change things, and then we kind of animate some of the stuff as well. Try different colorings. I make a lot of fabrics. I use a lot of my fabrics in the pictures as well.
That's awesome. Did you say you make your own fabrics?
Yeah, I make my own fabrics. So we have like a design fabrics and then get them printed. It's a very, very costly process, but it's a great way of making something that no one else can get their hands on.
That's so cool,
Because
man.
there's nothing worse than going to a big party and you're wearing the same jacket as five other people,
Yeah, I
and it looks
I
better
can't.
on them than it does on you.
Yeah, I've had some stuff made like that. Like I made a clothing line one time. Are you talking about like dye sublimation stuff where you can print like all over the fabric?
Yeah, yeah. There's some great places here where you can do stuff with like heat press and things like that. But actually, yeah, I get them done in a nice factory, and they're amazing.
That's awesome. So I guess yeah, thinking about that too, I'm like, you can do so much because you already do so much. It's like I feel like this project could go in so many different directions where it's like I could imagine you doing some awesome custom merch that you could only get if you have the NFT. Have you thought about that yet?
Totally. I mean, I think part of the thing that fascinates me about this world is that it is emerging and it's developing all the time, and every day you see things that people are doing that you just so impressive. But I think the best stuff has a kind of emotion to it, even though it's digital. I still think if the person behind the creation has a certain emotion, I feel like that does come through, even though some people might say, well, it's not human. But I think you can never factor out the person's attitude.
Yeah, I'm definitely huge. Like I went to school for art and technology, so I've always been into whatever the newest thing is. I want to try it and be a part of it and help build it and help test it and try to break it. And I think it's just a new thing where it's like if the paintbrush didn't always exist. People used to just carve into walls and everything. So it's like I think as new things come out, people are kind of afraid, and if they're not part of it, then it's easy to point a finger and be like, this is bad. But once they try it, I've seen a lot of people, they're like, oh, I like digital art now that I'm doing it myself. It's like, and then you start understanding that, yeah, it takes the same amount of love and attention and passion. It's not like
Yeah, I
it's
think you have to
just,
start with the person's intentions are always quite clear. I think and you can make that come through in anything that you do. I think.
yeah, even thinking about music, it's like you've done so much music that it's like, whether you're playing an instrument or doing a electronic like DAW thing, it's like it still takes a lot of skill and creativity. It's not like
Yeah, and I
it's an
think that these
instant.
days it's as I say, because the sort of all the old rules have sort of gone out the window. You don't have to kind of stick to any particular sound if you want to write something rock and roll, or you want to go a bit like purely electronic, or you want to go into a dub world. You got total freedom to do that. That's one of the great things about technology, is that you don't necessarily have to hire 16 musicians to create the sound of an orchestra. But it's also great to work with real musicians as well, because I think, again, the human spirit brings such important things to creativity and to music.
Yeah. So thinking about the music, are you going to have a music release coming up as well besides the NFT project?
Well, I'm kind of putting stuff out all the time. Just I have my own label called BG Presents, and I'm putting stuff out on that, and I'm also releasing stuff, from other artists that I've worked on. I have a band called We Are Brando. There's a girl called Eve Gallagher that I've worked with for years. Vangelis Polidoro, all sorts of people coming. This girl called Roxanne Yarnold, who's very 80s sounding. It's like Total Human League. So yeah, just playing around with all those amazing things in the same way that you would with colors and paints. Just the music is to me the same as kind of painting something. There's just so I always think that there's this incredible kind of creative pantry full of ingredients, and whenever you're making something, you go in there and you just look for what's going to inspire you.
That's so cool. So for the Crypto Queens, how many is in the collection and when are they going to be available?
I think there's 9,999, so just short of 10,000. And they're going to be released, I think, March 1st.
Awesome. So that's coming up soon. I think if you guys don't already follow Boy George, definitely do that. And I think if we can get the project up here as well, we can bring them onto the stage so people can also follow the Crypto Queens Twitter as well. Could be helpful for people to get into the Discord and everything easily. Well, actually, I'll pin a tweet as well. So
Thank
you're
you very
working on
much. And
this.
remember, all my opinions are my own
Yeah, I think your
on
opinions are awesome though.
Twitter.
So yeah, I think this is going to be a good project for people that maybe haven't found like an LGBTQ community in the NFT space, because I haven't really seen anything like this yet. So it seems, for me, it's the first one I've seen. So I feel like a lot of people could rally behind this. And I think it's a cool idea. Actually, I think your level, it's like you could just hire a whole team of people and do whatever you want, but it's like you to make it your thing, it's your way. And so is there a roadmap already for this project?
There is a roadmap. Even I don't know what it is, but it looks very complex. It's up online if people want to see it. It's on my Twitter account, I think, yeah. And also on the Crypto Queen's account too. There's a roadmap that's been posted.
John, do you want to go into the roadmap at all?
Yeah, there's a lot happening, right? It's like evolving as we're developing the project, whether that's collaborations with Decentraland, there's exclusive access. Like this week, we offered out some tickets to Boy George's show. So there's like, genuine real life utility that's going to come out of these. There's so much, like, there's too much to talk about. It is literally firing on all cylinders. Every other day, we're adding additional features to it. So yeah, the best thing to do is follow the page and keep an eye on it, because it's evolving. Like, this is an evolving project. It's an evolving piece of art. It's an evolving part of Boy George's life and career. And that's why the roadmap's never going to be static. It's just going to keep on adding more and more and more excitement to it.
That's awesome. I think too, like now that you have this Discord, this is like a new way for you to interact with your fans that maybe wasn't as popular or wasn't as used in the last 10 or 20 years. So like, how have you been interacting with people in the Discord?
Well, I'm still struggling a bit with the Discord. These are the best ones, but a lot of it's spilled over onto Twitter, and a lot of the people that are in Discord are people that follow me on Twitter. I've actually always been more active on Twitter than any other platform because it was the one that I started first. And I've always liked one of the things I like about Twitter is the kind of immediacy of response. The fact that you can argue with people quite quickly, and you can also send message of positivity to people and communicate. And there's something about it I really like. There's a kind of vibrancy to Twitter that I really like. So most of the stuff I do is on there, and I'm sort of still learning to get my head around the whole Discord thing, but I'm getting there.
That
Actually,
Discord
yeah,
moves so fast. Like, you have to have it on slow mo because so many people are talking and so many people are active. And the minute we're like, oh, should we do this? Everyone's like, yeah, 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 yeah. So Like, it's worth checking out. It's great.
I just thought of an idea that like we could host a more regular show, maybe like, I don't know, whatever monthly town hall or something where you talk about the project, talk more about your stories. I feel like you have so much to tell people that being able to share it in this live format and being able to like have people actually come up and talk to you is something that I don't think before Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces was a really big thing. So I don't know if you'd be into that, but I feel like it could be a cool way for you to share more about your life.
Oh yeah, totally. I love talking to people. I'm always kind of, I look at kind of social networking as a kind of global, family, and that is, I think it's important. I love the fact that people can communicate in this way. I would have loved to be able to do this when I was a teenager. This would have been amazing, like a amazing lifeline.
Yeah, I feel like it's just so much easier to talk and have a conversation than to try to like text everything out. It's like you're having to wait for a response, even though it is pretty instant, but it doesn't have
Yeah.
the same feeling as just having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff can get misinterpreted in a tweet.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, people can stew over it and try to pick it apart, where in these spaces I feel like we're just kind of flowing, and right now it's more of a deep dive interview, but I feel like if it was more just us hanging out and you telling us stories about going on tour and meeting these other
Yeah.
famous people, I think like that's inspiring to people, and it's like it also shows that you're a real human. It's not like you're completely disconnected from reality where it's like
Oh
you're
no, I
just
mean, I
in a
think that one
bubble.
of the one of the things that I've always been very passionate about is being in the world, getting out there and experiencing what's going on because I'm lucky I don't have a wine cellar, so I don't have to write songs about my wine cellar, but I like to be out in the world to see what's happening, to listen to people's conversations, to get inspired. You have to be outside. It's in the world, and I think social networking is so much a part of that. Of communicating with people. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool, I think.
How long have you been on Twitter? Because you were saying that's like your favorite one, and you've been on it. When did
Oh, I
you get
don't know. It
into it?
should say on the blurb, but it's been a while. That was the one I was on, and even that I was annoyed that I was slightly late to, because I
Yeah,
remember reading when Stephen Fry was very big on Twitter early days, and I'd read some stuff about him, and that's when I checked it out, and I've kind of been hooked. And a lot of people say, "Oh, Twitter, they don't get it." I was like, "It's the most simple one."
It's like
yeah, I
it's like people watching, right? Everyone sits in a cafe and watches people and
Yeah,
thinks about
so
what
I
they're
think it's the
doing.
simplest one. It's like
Yeah.
direct. Now you get more characters. It's even better.
yeah, I just barely really got into Twitter once the Twitter Spaces started happening. Like I had a Twitter, but it just wasn't my favorite format for posting my art. So once the Twitter
Oh,
Spaces happened, I was like, oh, I love talking to people, and this is just a way funner way to do it when you can have people come up and join the conversation. It's not like a phone call. It's like basically being in a room together.
yeah,
So while we still have you here, would you be open to maybe having some people come up and ask you questions about the project?
sure.
Awesome. Okay, we'll start bringing people up. If you guys want to come up, just raise your hand and we'll bring you up. So we got Fame, Identity coming up, connecting right now. Fame ID, how's it going?
And how you doing?
Really good. Did you have a question for Boy George?
No. I just came to support you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. Just listening to everyone here. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll bring up some more people. We got Banks on the stage. Banks, do you have a question for Boy George?
Hey, sorry, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Dope. Yeah, no, sorry. I'm on break right now. I'm actually eating. Is it cool if I step down as a listener and come back up in like 2 minutes?
Sure.
My
Yeah,
bad. I did
so
not
we
expect
got
to get brought up that quick.
Quinley as well.
Hi, Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi, Boy George. I am calling. I'm here from Australia. Been a big fan for a very long time. I'm also running an LGBTQ focused community project, and we have a real philanthropic charity focus. And I just wondered whether there were some plans for your project to get into that space in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's something we're looking into right now, and you know, we'll make those announcements when we find the right place. But yeah, you know, we should talk to you about your project as well.
I would love to talk to you about my project. How would be the best way to get in contact with you about that?
Well, I'll put you in touch with the best people to discuss that.
Okay, I've messaged Jeremiah, so maybe we can get the conversation started. That'd be fantastic.
You need to hunt down PK. PK from the Real Housewives. He's the man.
All right, PK from the Real Housewives.
Right. Yeah, PK's my manager, so he's quite big on Instagram. Send him a message, tell him we spoke, and and you know, hit us with some information.
That would be great. That'd be great. Yeah, because
you know, I spent the last 5 years of my life living in Australia.
Well, we're really hoping to create a global community, and the roadmap we have would create a community wallet that would have ongoing, be fed ongoing with the royalties from the resales. So we'll be able to continue to support causes for a very long time.
Great idea. Well, let us know more about it.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, Quinley, I'd say definitely follow Crypto Queenz and message that Twitter as well.
Will do. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Give my love to Australia.
Thank you. Bye.
Neo Crypto, do you have a question?
Yeah, so just obviously, Boy George, you're into art for your whole life, really. What is it that made you want to take this next step and get into NFTs?
Well, I think that, you know, there was a lot of talk a while back about, you know, people sort of having these digital screens in their houses where the art would be, you know, changeable. And, you know, I thought that was quite fascinating. I mean, obviously, I do love making real art pieces, you know, physical ones, but I don't think you should ever close yourself down to where things can go, you know, because, you know, you go into these amazing clubs now and they've got art like all around the walls and what we can do with live shows. So I feel like I've been embracing it as a performer for quite some time. And, you know, obviously the technology has got better and better and better. And I think it will get better even more. I think it's really going to evolve. And I just feel that it's exciting from an artistic point of view to be involved in something that is, you know, has the same vibe to me as kind of Acid House did when that appeared, you know, and that felt very similar to this, you know, that it created all these new communities and, you know, brought people together that weren't necessarily going to mix with each other in any other scenario. So for me, I think it's just got so many kind of important aspects to it. And, you know, it's another way of getting your ideas out there and changing the relationship with the people that want to have it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're happy to welcome you to the NFT space.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Tune Cars, do you have a question for Boy George? Sometimes people get rugged, and that's why we call it rug radio, because you can't hear people or the whole space sometimes just collapses.
Connection.
Yeah.
Oh, they're having
there we
this
go.
dinner.
I think I got it there. My bad.
Okay. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
Good, thanks.
Happy to be here. First time on Rug Radio, so thank you guys for having me. I just wanted to know kind of more about your background. So I know you touched on kind of how you got into NFTs, but like, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years with NFTs?
With NFTs, I think it's just going to be part of what I do as an artist, you know, and, you know, I've been kind of looking at ways to, we talked a little bit about sort of, you know, the fact that Death Row Records just announced they're going to be an NFT only record label, which I think is really good. I've been looking at this idea of incorporating music, you know, into the NFTs, maybe a new way of releasing albums or not releasing albums, whatever. But just, for an artist like me who is in the music business by default, really, but it doesn't really work for me as an artist because I'm an older artist. And when you get to a certain age in rock and roll, people decide that you've got nothing to say. And I think one of the reasons why I am getting into NFTs and have got into it is because I've got a lot to say. I can't be contained, so I feel like this could be a great way of putting a lot of messages out there, messages about spirituality, messages about music, about creativity, love, community, connecting, tolerance, all the things that seem to be quite important right now.
I still think like this is right at the start of everything, right? Like this whole space is going to keep evolving. So like where we are in 5 years, like think how far we've come in a couple of years, in a year, in a month. Like there's so much more to come. So it's really hard to pin that down, right?
But I think that's part of the excitement, I would say, is
Exactly.
that it is, I think in music and rock and roll, anyone who goes to a gig now, they understand pretty much everything that goes on. When I was 17 and I went to a concert, I didn't know what was going on backstage. It was an ethereal world to me. Whereas now, technology has brought this into everyone's lives. And so people are clued up about what's going on. And this whole world, just feels like there's room to expand and experiment. And, it could get visually very exciting. It could be a great way of expressing so many things. And that's what pulls me in, I think.
I don't think people realize how easy it is to get involved, even with platforms like Decentraland. You can just like jump on your computer and be in it in seconds. It's not a hard task. It's just about kind of curving that adaptation rate and welcoming people in. And that's why I think like education in this space is so important, especially from a marketing point of view, is like teaching people as they kind of move over to Web3, like how to get involved and not to be afraid of it, and having people like Boy George and these huge names and this presence in the space just speeds that up tenfold, in my opinion.
Sometimes, what you have to do with, when you're working with, say, someone who's younger, whatever it's in art or music, you have to kind of teach people to get out of their own way. And that can be a really wonderful thing to see that happen. When you explain to someone that they don't have to think a certain way about an idea, whatever it is, and that they actually can break the rules, and that most great things have come from rule breaking. From sort of really going against whatever the structures may be.
That really resonates with me. I mean, my project is not music based, but I've done a lot of music throughout my life, and I think it's amazing that in this space, all of us artists really want to convey a message or convey our emotions, and I think it's so amazing that this space really gives us the opportunity to show that and to really convey our message to everyone and kind of have a more deep connection to our music and our art and our creations and then our community as well.
And the opportunity is there to make your project whatever you want it to be and communicate it however you want it to be. So that like you're all saying, there is no rules. Like you're writing a roadmap. You are writing your own destiny in this space. You can make it, like if you want to add music tomorrow, do it. Like if it makes sense, do it.
Yeah, I really love the idea of that. And, we're doing a few things with this project to do with music, and it'll be fun to see how that's perceived and what people feel about that.
Martin, do you want to ask Boy George a question? Maybe he's rugged. Let's see. We got Tristan.
Hello.
All right. Yo.
Hello. Okay, my microphone wasn't on. Sorry. I have a question. I heard the rumor that Boy George is learning German language and is moving to Berlin. When do you move to Berlin, Boy George?
I don't think this is true, but I love it as a concept.
We need you in Berlin for the nightlife.
Well, I'm going to come. Maybe I should come and DJ, because I've had some amazing DJ gigs in Berlin. I did this amazing show in the old Berlin airport a few years back. It was a while back. And I remember at the time just saying to my friends, Berlin is so cool. It's the coolest place in the world. You know, I
Yes,
love
David
that vibe. But
Bowie.
yeah, no, I definitely would love to come back. And you know, I've actually just done a project with Kinky Roland, who's doing this album, which is a tribute to the sort of famous Metropole Club in Berlin. And that's coming. I sing a bit of German in that.
Yeah, David Bowie lived here a long time, and
Oh,
Marlene
of course. I
Dietrich.
mean, this is like, you know, the song "Where Are We Now." He mentions all those places. And when I was there last time in Berlin, I went to all the places in that song. You know.
And like
Oh, we
Berlin
need
becomes the
you. We
metaverse now,
need
right?
you. We need you in Berlin.
Oh, thank you. It was good to be needed. That's always a nice start.
Hey, Tristan, did you have a question for Boy George? You got your hand up, Tristan. You gotta press the microphone button. Maybe they're rugged. Yeah, it seems like we can't hear them. If anybody else has a question, just raise your hand and we'll bring you up.
Some of these avatars are amazing.
Yeah, that must be crazy. Like to you know, when you're on Twitter for a long time and it's a bunch of people's faces and now it's little cartoons and
Yeah, I love it. It's so good.
yeah, it's like way more fun this way.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Pixel Lord, you have a question?
Yeah, I figured out I have a question because I see this topic, which is I love it actually. How to make it? If you guys discussing how to make it, so my question is how to make it, not making it. So what I mean is, do you have to try hard, or do you have to just leave it all and just see what happens? I mean, how to find this balance, not to try too hard. You know what I mean, right?
In what respect? In terms of creating art or in terms of just being a person?
No, yeah, in terms of creating art and be like find your place in this huge world, like make a
I feel
success.
like
Yeah.
I feel like I've always had a quite playful relationship with arts. You know, the art that I make, the physical art that I make is very humorous. It's punky. I'm a punk. I draw punks basically. I guess I'm a punk portrait painter. You know, I draw anyone that looks odd and anyone with an attitude problem, anyone with an axe to grind. I like kind of troubled people, and you know, I like people with interesting faces, which is why I look at a lot of these avatars and I think, wouldn't it be great if people actually look like that? You know, it'd be great. So yeah, I think trying hard. I don't know. I feel like when you create something great, like whether it's a piece of art or a song, usually it comes from a sort of quite relaxed place. You know, when you're trying too hard, I think you can overthink everything. And often when you're trying too hard, you're trying to be like other people too much. Because, you know, I will openly admit that I'm influenced by everything I see and hear. You know, I don't reject any idea ever. I don't, you know, because even if you don't like an idea, it can encourage a different idea. So I never feel like I try hard because I think if you're interested in something, you'll always be interesting.
I think in the crypto space as well, like when it goes back to the community and we ask for feedback, like people talk and people have like the power to have their voices heard, like in this space, right? And that changes decisions and inspires and everyone learns something new. So it's, you know, that community side's so important and everyone's listening and engaging with that. And that's what makes it easier to be a part of this space.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're bringing up Mikey. Mikey, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hi. Do you have a question for Boy George?
Yes. Yeah, I just heard you speaking about the Metropole Theatre, and I actually work with a gallery that is right behind the Metropole Theatre, and we're actually interested in having you curate an exhibition. Would you be into something like that?
Yeah, but you should try. I don't know the name of the label, but my friend Kinky Roland is doing a vinyl release. It's all about the Metropole and the graffiti club and all that kind of period. It's sort of during, I think it was the 80s, wasn't it? That time. So yeah, that'd be something I'd be interested in. Again, just reach out to the guys, or reach out to our Crypto Queenz page or to my regular page and give me some details, and I'll have someone get in touch with you.
Amazing. Okay, I will do that. And I just want to mention that I do a really good cover of Victims, and I love that cover so much.
Go on then.
Not when you're in Berlin, I'll do it.
Okay, I look forward to it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mikey. Chait Ket. Is that how I pronounce that? Chait Ket?
It's hard. Yes, to take care to. It's African, so it can be hard for other people to say it. Well, I do not exactly have a question.
Oh, and I lost you. Come back.
Oh, I think they got rugged a little bit.
Oh no.
Yeah, it happens all the
I think
time.
it's one of the only good things that came out of this relationship. Getting to know the music, and yeah, it's been absolutely great. I love the art and how it's deep, and it sort of reaches to this weird twistingly emotional part of me. You do such great work, and George.
I can hear you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Gold Jim, do you have a question?
Hi, guys. Hi, good evening. No, I do not have questions. I'm sorry. I'm gonna work a little bit. Thank you.
I think sometimes people just request just to try it, which is okay too. Okay, so I don't want to take up any more of your time right now, George. I'm sure you're busy. But
listen, it was very nice to join you guys. And nice questions, nice vibes, really beautiful. Thanks so much for asking me.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this project. I would love to help out, and maybe we can collab on some actual art in the future, because now that I'm knowing this, I'm going to dig through and try to find as much of your visual art. Do you have a gallery posted online?
I don't put, I need to start putting more stuff up on Instagram and places. I am a bit cagey about showing certain things, but I'm getting better.
I would love to help with that part of it, because that's something I'm passionate about, and I think it adds so much to your story. So I think people would really like to see more of that, and maybe I can talk to the team and figure out what I can do to help, because
Awesome.
Yeah, I think like the community, LGBT community, I think would be really inspired to see all of your artwork.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks for having me, and let me know when you're on again, and I'll come and say hi.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it'll be great. Once we're closer to the launch, or maybe when it actually launches, we could host another show and just chat a little, and maybe make it like less interview style.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much,
All right.
John.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
so much for
have
bringing everybody.
Evening. Bye.
Hope you all have a great day.
Bye.
And yeah, catch us tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.